Hey guys, how are you doing? Got my special guest here. How about you introduce yourself to everybody?
Welcome, everyone. This is Struggle Streaming with JR. Stepping in as a special guest, late replacement, had to get subbed in. Yeah, good to go. Thank you for the invite, um, Ariadne, and let's discuss this show.
All right,
Let's
so
chop
you,
it up. Let's talk about it.
yep. Usually I go scene by scene, but I was thinking maybe couple by couple this time. So
Yeah.
um, let's see. Let's start with Millie and Greg
Hmm.
because they didn't seem to have that much going on from what I remember. Maybe I just completely forgot or something since last night, but because I watched this last night myself, so I don't remember them doing too much
Hmm.
besides going to the boomer room, of course. But
Well, that's major. They hadn't been there before.
sure, that is true.
Yeah, like I think Millie had some really constructive feedback. She appreciated what Josh had to say um, when they were all around doing the challenge, and Josh was basically saying, you need to kind of stop um, using your previous relationship experience, the negative ones especially, in this current situation with Greg. You've moved on. You're with a different guy, and you need to bring those walls down. And Taronda also um, said the same thing. You need to bring those walls down so that you can allow the relationship to progress in a more natural way. So I think that was pretty big, and how she handled it was very well. Right? She didn't get triggered about it at all, so she can see what they were saying and didn't disagree with it. So it looks like they're back on track. The birthday incident was a blip, but they've managed to smooth it out.
Yeah, let's hope it continues on an upward trajectory. Because for a second there, she was kind of given um, what's her name, Sienna, for a minute,
Hmm.
for a while. So hopefully she can actually continue. It seems like she's kind of self-reflected, but she's not really doing a whole lot of practice of trying to change that. At least what we've seen previously, but
Hmm.
last night seemed to be a little bit different, so that was
Hmm.
good. But we got two more episodes left, so we'll see if anything's changed, and we'll see if she kind of does any interviews about where she is now with Greg and um, all that. If she's still with him, because we don't know, because this is 2 years done and gone
Hmm.
already. But
Okay. Well, I get that. Well, a little bird tells me that we may be able to get some information about that from one half of that relationship. It's too early to say who it is, but we may get the answers to that very soon. So stay tuned. But I think Millie definitely still does have some Sienna in her, and we saw that when she lashed out at Chris. Remember when Chris and Sandio had their turn to answer questions? Millie flew off on Chris, and to a degree, rightly so, because what he said was actually going to be very triggering and offensive to some people who listened to that, who heard what he said.
okay, fair point.
So I think he still has that volatility, but another part of the feedback she got was she needs to, learn to allow him to answer his questions or apologize before flying off the handle. So yeah, she took that nugget, and we'll see if she can start to implement that. If it's counting to 10, counting to 100. But one thing she needs to do is not lash out in the way that she does, because it's difficult to be in a relationship with someone who's volatile. Even if there is a valid reason as far as she's concerned, everybody's old enough and grown enough to be able to articulate their feelings and their points without engaging about it.
I'm not mad at that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think there has to be one couple, and Dilly and Greg. They're one of the couples where I think they stand a chance to work. They do.
I don't know. I mean,
what do you think?
I've been kind of worried about Greg because we haven't heard him say much as far as I don't know, just something about him kind of feels a little off. I don't know if that's just me kind of being worried because I'm a rather quiet person myself, so I mean, I don't know if that says a lot about me or if it's just I'm worried that there's something about him specifically that we haven't seen, that you just don't know yet, that is lurking around the corner. I do remember hearing someone say, it was like on one of these lives that I've watched on the show, and it was like in the last 2 weeks. He was on this reality show called Back in the Groove. I believe that was what it was called. It's on Hulu, but I think he was on that show. And that's not to say that's the bad thing, but it's just the little, I guess, giving a little context if that's true, because I watched it, but I don't remember him being on there. But that doesn't mean he wasn't. So just
okay. So I have a question. Right. So I mean, do you feel like we're in an age where the first thing people do is you kind of, I'm not saying you personally, but do you think we're in an age where people judge first, then wait to be proven wrong? Or like, because people do use previous relationship experience or life experiences to shape their points of view. So sometimes when they meet someone who, may not exhibit some of the traits or behaviors that they're used to seeing, that then they're just like, you know what, there's something fishy there. Nah, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to him. I'm waiting for him to slip up, mess up, reveal who he really is. Do you think there's an element of that?
That's a good point, and definitely, I will say that is something that may be me in my thinking, because you're almost expecting the worst, almost. That way you're not, you're disappointed, but you knew it was going to happen, so you just kind of do that. I mean, and that's why I kind of been like I haven't, because I was thinking this way at the beginning, but I've kind of not said much about it recently, because I was trying to wait to see if if that if I was just tripping or something, but um yeah, I
Mm.
can definitely see
Okay.
how a lot of bad experiences or letdowns can be something that makes people um almost pretty much expect the worst.
Mm. Hmm. Okay. Um, do you, like you said, there's only a couple more episodes left, like maybe 2 or 3 episodes left. Do you feel like we've seen enough of Greg and Millie together to pretty much work out who they are around each other? Or is it a situation like you'd have to wait right to the end to see if they swan off into the sunset together, holding hands, before you buy into maybe who Greg is or what their relationship is?
Hmm. I think I would need to see something more long term. I guess that's maybe me and how I'm set up. I would need the whole trust but verify thing, because I guess I'm more of a skeptical person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I personally would need to see how they've interacted over the last 2 years, um, if they have, and going forward. Um, because it's just, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just I'm just jaded a little bit too much from my past, but that's for me personally. I would need to kind of see it, but and that's not to say that they won't make it, because I think they could. It's just I just would need to see the proof for it from my own eyes to sort of start to believe it.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you where do you fall in this?
Uh, I feel like I don't know, what's this, episode 8.
Hmm.
I think we've seen our fair share of dramas and ups and downs and bumpy roads in all of their relationships. Um, but I kind of just go with what I see. If I mean, they started off very cordial, um, had an attraction there, a level of chemistry there from the outset. Then hit some turbulence, starting with some issues that weren't to do with their relationship, i.e., people triggering Millie, and him having to step in and calm her down and be there for her and all that stuff, which he's been consistently saying the whole time. He's got her back. He's trying with her, and he really wants to see how it goes. He really wants to make a go of it. And she seems very interested in him too. She seems like she's very much attracted to him. But I think that where there was a little bit of um, a gap in the way that they both view the relationship is she's expecting him to do more to stimulate her mental, and not so much focus on the physical. Now, I haven't seen him focus too hard on the physical. In fact, it's only been about connecting in other ways outside of the boom boom room and the intimacy and all that stuff. They seem to have very open discussions. They seem to both be able to be themselves and express themselves. So I think from what I'm seeing, they have the potential to make it. Whereas where she might be more fiery, he's much more cool and calm. And that's the balance. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with somebody who is as calm as he is, because that would be like the same person. That may not necessarily work. Opposites attract, and polarity is a thing, right? So if someone's more hot-tempered, for example, they can't be with somebody else who's hot-tempered,
Right.
because then they'll be clashing all the time. You need that calming influence to calm that down. So yeah, I think they are one of the couples that I would guess make it out of this in one piece at the moment.
All right. Anything
Okay,
else
so
of that?
what did you
Anything?
think of their actual sit down with Toronto? Do you think that it was basically a pat on the back to say continue as you're doing, you're both learning and growing each other? Or do you think it's a situation where they need to feel each other out more and be more cautious before progressing as fast?
No, I think they're moving at the right track. I think they're going at the pace that they need to.
Right.
And honestly, I thought they might have gone to the boomer room a little bit earlier, but I'm glad they didn't. Especially with how they're both their backgrounds. I mean, 'cause it doesn't necessarily sound like they have worked too much on it. Especially Millie, so that's why I'm a little glad they didn't go that route too fast. But yeah, no, they seem like they're going at a nice pace for themselves. So I don't think they need to go any faster.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I think they're going at their own pace, and that's the pace all these couples should be going at. Can't be looking at what someone else is doing and how they're progressing or how they're not connecting or whatever. Focus on the person that you're with, move at your speed that you both are comfortable with, and then hopefully you can build something that's meaningful and lasting, right? They've been together for 3 years online without seeing each other. So with this connection, being as strong as it is after meeting each other and spending this amount of time so far, then I have high hopes for them. And another thing that came out in this episode is Greg is a former womanizer, right? He's a former playboy. So he's curtailed that and is very, very much into Millie to the point where he wants to solely focus on this relationship. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a growing curve, a learning curve for both of them, because she needs to overcome some of the things she's been through in previous relationships, and so does he. And I'm not saying to trauma bond or anything like that, but you have a shared experience, so that might make the process of learning each other easier.
All right. Any other thoughts on them or questions about them?
No, we could go to the next couple if you like.
Okay. I guess we can do Shay and Josh next, and then we can go into Diamond and Aaron H after that. Since they kind of go hand in hand.
Okay. Where would you like to start with Shay and Josh?
How much do you think is true of what Diamond had to say? And do you think Josh's explanation was satisfactory, given that we don't really have anything to go off of other than what Diamond has said from Alexis?
Well, I think that scenario that Diamond said happened, hearing it from Alexis, I'm very doubtful of that. Very doubtful. I don't think you would get much privacy in a shared accommodation in the hallway with somebody else's person and expect not to get caught. So I don't buy that. Also, when I heard what Shay said about it, where she said, listen, Alexis has got her phone number, and not one time has Alexis called her to tell her any of this information. None. So why would she tell Diamond? And also, if Josh and Alexis were having this conversation about having a threesome and this, that, the other, why would they be so comfortable around each other? She was only there for 5 minutes. And all of these couples have waited a long time to physically meet the person that they've been talking to. So to jeopardize the 12 years that Josh and Shay have spent together over a quick piece of booty in the hallway of the shared accommodation, I find that hard to believe. Josh and Shay have been in the boom boom room the most. I don't think, and even from the get-go, when they first met, the first night, from what we saw, the first episode, they had a shower together and hit the boom boom room straight away. So I'm very skeptical of Alexis's allegations. And I'm even more skeptical of Diamond's motives for spilling that tea in the way she did. It was very much like, I'm going to whisper all these things to you to poison your relationship or ruin your view of Josh. And I don't know why she would want to do that when she's got her own relationship to focus on. What were your thoughts? What do you think?
You know, again, this is just me and my setup. Initially, I was thinking it, kind of looked bad. Because you sent me the clip on Instagram, and I was like, dude, that does not look good at all. I was like, Josh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then we get to last night's episode, and Diamonds, when confronted later about it, couldn't even look Shay in the eye at all. And that's very telling. So, I mean, I really, I haven't liked her from the beginning, to be quite honest. And looks like I had good reason not to like her. So, because she's straight messy boots, and she needs to I was, I'm just tired of her and her shenanigans, and I want both her and Aaron off. I mean, that more goes with, their whole segment, but yeah, that just, that's what I noticed, that she couldn't look her in the eye, and then um, she was stuttering all over the place, tripping over her words, couldn't form a sentence to save her life if it depended on it, and so here we are. Um, I mean, I kind of want to say that Shay should go straight to the supposed horse's mouth, aka Alexis, because that's who Diamond said something, but I, I don't know. I feel like that might cause more problems than necessary. Um, but then again, I feel like she should do that too. On the other hand, so I'm like, I don't even know. I was just watching Kojo's video for Diamond, what Diamond did
Mm-hmm.
earlier this morning about, and this was for last episode, but he was talking about how um, the way you word stuff is obviously going to make it sound worse than it probably is. Um, so the only thing I can say is that if Shay decides she's comfortable with going to Alexis, she needs to be careful with how she says it, um, because that obviously that's gonna cause more problems with everything if she says it in a way that causes Alexis to be defensive, and therefore she's gonna get defensive more so than she already is. So that's the only thing I think I have on that part, because it's a delicate situation all the way around.
Right. Um. Okay. Now, I found it very interesting that um, Shay, when asked in front of the group how she felt about the situation, she said she took her time, she thought about it, she slept on it, and she spoke to him about it. And the conclusion she came up with is that Diamond is messy, and Aaron as well. And she immediately decided, okay, you tried to mess up my relationship. Now I've got some questions for you. And I think this notion that because I think Diamonds tried to continue a narrative that Shay, kind of like Sandia in a way, that she doesn't speak up, she doesn't have a voice, she's insecure type of thing. And Shay, nah, like when she's ready, she'll fire back. You know, she's not this doormat. As we saw this episode, she can defend herself when necessary. So she did her due diligence, and she basically said, you know what? She knows Josh for 12 years. She don't know Alexis like that, and she's only known Diamond 5 minutes. So she's gonna stick by her man. So I applaud her for that, because we don't know what happened because we weren't there. Alexis is no longer in the house, so she can't even back up or corroborate anything on the show anyway. The only person we got to go by is Josh. And if Diamond Alexis and Shay have each other's phone numbers. Shay can quickly iron out this situation with Alexis and find out exactly what took place. So it's a bump in the road. I don't think it happened like that. I don't think it happened like that, but I also don't know why Alexis would make up something specifically about Josh. So we have to wait for her interview, which should be coming soon. She said she's going on a podcast. I think today she's going to be doing a podcast where she's going to be talking about the situation more and what actually happened.
Wait, who, Alexis or Shay?
Yeah, Alexis.
Oh, okay.
Because she said that it didn't happen the way Diamond explained it. She said her and Josh got up and left the room, and Josh went to do laundry. They weren't in the hallway talking about threesomes and all the rest of it. That's what she said. So we'll have to wait and see what she actually releases about what actually took place. But as I say, I'm going to be skeptical because I don't think it makes any sense. Josh seems to be locked in on Shay. Shay's locked in on Josh. There's no outside influences. They seem to be connecting the best in terms of intimacy, sexual chemistry, and communication. They don't have any problems other than the obvious elephant in the room, which is the child that he had with his roommate. But other than that, which they've spoken about at length already, and she's cool with it. So they don't have any bumps in the road. Not yet, anyway. It's all good. Sorry, just dropping my controller. But yeah.
Don't worry, I don't think I heard anything. So, let me see. Oh, and then right. So I'm looking at my notes here. So after the whole exercise that they did, she's in the bathroom, from what it sounds like, talking to her friend on speakerphone, talking about Diamond and Aaron and how messy they are. What maybe I just wasn't seeing it this way, but do you think Aaron was like following her around? Because Jay was saying on her live last night that he was like following her around. Like, I guess maybe. I mean,
yeah, he was, because this is what happens. In my opinion, I think Aaron H is triggered when he feels like Diamond is in a situation where she's being attacked. Even though she's been messy and started the situation, like he's already said, wrong or right, he's going to stick behind his girl. They'll have their conversations in private where he will tell her his opinion, but in public, he's going to support her. So I think based on Diamond feeling like she wasn't protected when everybody came against her last time for being messy, this time when Shay put her on blast for being messy, I think he did follow her, and it was an attempt to get into a cussing match, a slanging match, similar to what he did with Diamond's sister as well. Once he gets triggered, then he's going to go after the person and chime back.
Okay, so I'll kind of half agree that, I mean, I think he eventually started following her, but maybe this is my naive part of me saying like, well, he can't be this stupid, but maybe he is, because I mean, He I was kind of fine with him at the beginning of the season, and then he started being equally as Missy Boots as Diamond, and so I was just like, he's just giving me the ick here. I'm like, stop it, please. Like, don't you have something better to do? Like, I mean, this is why everyone's saying that he like y'all are just like jealous and trying to mess up everyone else's relationship because it doesn't look like you have anything better to do besides be all up in everybody else's business. And then it's highly annoying. So I will have to agree that at some point he definitely was following her, but I mean, I I just guess didn't I don't see it from the I didn't see it from the start of that whole scene. So I mean, maybe I just need to change my perspective on something.
Okay. Well, I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't defend Diamond in that situation, based on how she scolded him for not doing it the first time, do you think that he's learned from that mistake? Like, he doesn't want to be in the doghouse with his woman. So even though I think men and women shouldn't argue because it never ends well, at the same time, Shay wasn't going at Aaron. She was going at Diamond for being messy. And Aaron has interjected himself to try and cover Diamond. I don't like that situation.
Diamond, well, see, the problem is that it's not the fact that he's covering her, it's the way he's doing it.
Yeah.
Because you can cover your woman all you want. It's just that it's the when you do it in such a nasty way, then it looks like you ain't got common sense. You don't have the common sense God gave Paste. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, what you're being very. So it's not the fact that he wants to cover his woman. I have no issues with that because cover her, you should. Because if you don't, women are gonna think that you can't protect her in any other instance. So do what you have to do, but the way you're doing it is how it's where it's coming off wrong.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But you're asking a man who put someone's feet in their mouth to have common sense.
Okay, right? JR, pause for a second. I just scrubbed that from my mind. I did not need that again.
But no, I mean, this is the thing. She got into an earlier situation where she was messy and called someone out. Then the whole house ganged up on her. And she ran into the next room and basically said, why didn't you protect me? You let everybody stay silent and I was the only one and this, that, the other. What did he go and do? He said, all right, then I'm going to defend mine. And he rolled up his sleeve. He went back into the room and just tried to exacerbate the situation even more, right? By taking the heat off Diamond and putting it all on him. He just went wild, insane. So I just think he's learning to adopt this defensive posture over her, whether she's right or wrong in the situation. And that's where I think the problem is. It's not his business what Alexis told Diamond and what Diamond told Shay. It's only between those three. So him interjecting himself, there was no need, in my opinion. But like I said, after the scolding he got the first time, being put in the doghouse by Diamond, I think he's like, you know what, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen.
I mean, I guess where I am coming from is that, I mean, you can not like that they all ganged up on Diamond, and that is what it is. I guess what I'm saying is just go to Shay and say, hey, or go to I don't know if they need to be doing any more house meetings, but you can at least go to like everyone individually or something and say, hey, I didn't like how you guys ganged up on Diamonds. You're talking about us being messy and doing all this stuff, but then you turn right around and do exactly what you accuse us of doing. So and he could either say it like that, or say it however nice he can. But I mean, if he feels that strongly to say, I don't like how you did something, that's all I'm saying. It's like, if he, I mean, I guess that's where my head's at.
Right. But the thing is, right, the problem is that with the guys, he gets around the guys, and yeah, he's sort of trying to act like an elder statesman, right? All the guys seem to get on well enough, and this, that, the other. He doesn't like Jody and the way she's treating Chris, right? But this episode, he backed off from that. Now, it seems like everybody's associating Diamond with being messy, and him just jumping in and defending her messy behavior, or involving himself in it when initially he wasn't a part of it. Which is why during their sit down, all the other couples were calling them out for being messy, old, and jealous of the younger people's relationships. And they may have a point.
No, I do agree with that. I think they'll make a point. I do that. I do think so. I mean, when you're dogpiling on people, they're going to get defensive, and then this is gonna be the end result where Aaron is following Shay around, and I mean, yes, she called him out his name. She shouldn't have done that, but he also called her out her name too, from what I remember. So
yep, straight up.
So yeah.
Well, this is a question for you. I mean, I've had this situation recently where, not too recent, but recent enough, where if I don't speak my opinion and my piece, and I let if I let my lady, for example, steamroll me, basically mute my opinions, doesn't want to listen, always want to challenge and argue, right? If I let that slide, then she's going to see me as a punk, and I'm going to feel like a punk. In my mind, I could be giving her grace and saying, listen, a man shouldn't argue with a woman and this, that, the other. But it will never stop if I don't do that. And then on the other hand, if I get called out my name, for example, and I retaliate, I respond, then now I'm sassy for being a dude and calling a woman out her name, right? So I think what my point is Aaron needs to stay out of Diamond's messy scraps. Let Diamond handle it, because she gets herself into the situation. She needs to get herself out by smoothing it over with the people she's been messy against. Otherwise, people are going to turn on her. And he co-signing her actions, he's put himself in that position too, where now both of them are alienating themselves from the rest of the group. So there is a thin line between giving grace and saying, okay, Diamond, you're my woman, you know, I want to be with you, girl. There's a thin line between doing that and supporting everything she does, and then saying, look, Diamond, stop getting involved in other people's business and focus on what me and you have. Right? He hasn't said that yet. I think he's tried to, but because there was a scene where he sat down and he said, listen, we focus on us, but you know, obviously I'm going to have your back and all the rest of it. So there's a thin line, and we're going to discuss it later because it's inevitable with one of the couples we got coming up. I think it's Chris and Sandia, but he needs to just let Diamond fight her own battles. She invites the heat. She didn't have to go and tell Shay anything. She didn't have to tell the rest of the house what everybody's been saying about Chris and Sandia and Jody and Aaron. She didn't have to do none of that. She chose to. She elected herself to step into the battlefield. Then when the self-defense mechanisms kick in, now she's running like she didn't do anything to instigate it. Very messy.
All right.
Okay, so we shifted it. You're shifting it to the next couple.
All right, hold please. I'm gonna change it to
Shay and Josh.
Diamond.
We just spoke about Diamond and Aaron. We just kind of touched on and spoke about.
All right, so I guess we can kind of scooch over to them then. So, see,
Come on, you know you want to do it. It's Chris and Cynthia time.
Okay, I guess we can go to Chris and Cynthia. So I'll change it. So hold on.
It's okay. Like you know, there's other subjects, other topics. We can get through them. We got Aaron and Jody as well.
No, let's get Chris and Cindy out the way because Chris is gonna piss me off. So if I wait till the end, so he's gonna piss me off if we don't. So yeah, let's go to Chris and Cindy.
Okay.
So I think the first time we really kind of get something with them was during the game or exercise or whatever you want to call it. And they were I guess the second or third ones to go. So you might want to go first because I'm already getting pissed off. So you might want to just start talking.
Okay. Trigger warning. Trigger alert. Disclaimer. That includes you, Ari. Trigger warning alert. Okay, so during Chris and Sandia's participation in the challenge, it started off talking about his communication. And you know, he said his communication is not the worst. But that also means your communication is not good either. It can improve. Which he was reluctant to say, but was very quickly pointed out to him. Right. Now, I think the glue for Chris and Sandia is their Haitian culture, their Haitian background. And from what we've seen of Sandia, she seems to be a very traditional person. So in her approach, in her mannerisms, in the way she's conducting herself in a relationship, she is trying to position herself as a wife to the man that she wants to be with. And in this case, is Chris. Chris, however, is not coming across as someone who shares the same traditional aspects that Sandia has. He's already professed in her face to be a kind of like a womanizer, ladies' man. He's also said he ain't giving no parts of himself completely until until he feels like it's not going to be a waste of time. Now, I thought that was an insane comment to make in front of Cynthia like that, but even to make it in general, that was terrible. And I'll tell you why. Because they've been speaking for a certain amount of time already in an online relationship where there is no physical contact, there is no intimacy, there is no sexual, there is no visuals really. It's mainly by telephone. And Cynthia is committed to that relationship, hoping that he is the man that, the traditional man that she is looking for. Chris, however, is not that. Or if he wants to be, he's definitely not there yet. So Chris needs to make his mind up. Otherwise, he's going to lose a good thing. And I don't mean to call her a thing. I mean, he's going to lose a good person. All right. He divulged that he was in an 8-year relationship. And when it went wrong, now he sees relationships and women a certain way based on how he was hard done by in that relationship. So he needs to heal and recover from whatever he went through with that person, because that person is not Sandia. So she shouldn't be the recipient of his insecurities and his anger or hostility towards his previous situation. It's got nothing to do with Sandia. From what we've seen, Sandia has presented herself to be a very calm, mild-mannered, sensible, soft-spoken lady. And I think even though on paper he may think that's great and that's what he wants, but he's not the type of person that would compliment Sandia in that aspect. So Chris was very wrong for what he said. That was I was like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. He doesn't seem to realize that when Sandia is in front of him or near him, she is looking at him with love and wanting to progress the relationship. And he comes out with these dumb comments like he's around the boys, wherever he's from. Yeah, I'm a player. Yeah, I just get these girls, man. They just dime a dozen, man. This, that, that whole mindset is going to be the downfall of his relationship, and he's going to cause it. Anyway, what were your thoughts?
Okay, so I agree with pretty much everything you said. The only pushback that I have for what you said was you said that if he doesn't quit, he's gonna lose a good person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really don't have much hope for her because she's putting up with a lot of that crap that he's peddling out. And I mean, I'm not saying she's not a good person. I will never say that she's not a good person. I just think that she is um she has a lot of work to do because the way she's putting up with it right now is just a hard no. It's a hard pass. She needs to figure out why she's putting up with someone who says these things, because if you say these types of things, then you obviously don't have a very good view of the opposite sex. So it's not going to be that great of actions coming from him if this is how he thinks. Um, so, I mean, she needs to, as Kojo would say, sit on a bench and heal and actually put in the work to do so, because sticking around for that is a, a no. And Millie was kind of right last week, that in a sense, because Chris would never put up with a woman who would, if you want to put a phrase on it, a woman who would push back on him, because he wouldn't tolerate it. And that's why he doesn't argue with women, or a certain type of woman, because she wouldn't put up a woman who has at least some value system, or a strong value, like a decent enough value system, wouldn't put up with what he says. And Sandy doesn't seem like she has that. So I don't. I mean, I just feel like she's gonna put up with a lot of stuff, and one of those things could be that he's cheating on her left, right, and center. So it's the relationship is not that good to begin with, because Cindy is allowing him to get away with saying what he's saying, and she's not really putting up a much of a, I don't know if fight is the right word, but she's not putting up much of a um stance,
Resistance.
boundary, yeah,
Stance.
resistance to him, because she's just allowing it. It's the only thing I can come up with. So that's the only pushback I have as far as what you said.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. But you're right. Listen, there's no way Chris is going to deal with someone like a Sienna or a Millie, and he shouldn't, because both of those two types of personality, they are far too hostile, and that does not bring for a harmonious relationship. I don't know where this notion comes from that the more you are challenging or pushing back or argumentative or anything like that, that works in a relationship. It doesn't. It never does. It creates toxic relationships. But loving, harmonious, long-lasting relationships, nope, it doesn't happen. So you're right. Chris would never have, if Sandia had a more live wire personality, ready to challenge and bite back and push back on anything he says out of turn, nah, it wouldn't last at all. And to be fair, that's most guys these days. Most guys do not have the capacity to handle what they go through every day. And then with the woman that they want to share time with, build a legacy with, have a relationship with, marriage, intimacy, all the things that come with that, there's no way they want drama there as well. That will push guys away. Because there are ladies like Sandia out there that don't bring that type of heat. So that's where the attraction comes with a Sandia. She can articulate herself without being verbally violent or hostile. She don't make no threats. She don't make no ultimatums. Even when she's dealing with the other ladies who had something to say about her, she says what she says, calmly, composed. She doesn't get irate, and that's to be respected and appreciated. These ones that get animated, they are the most fragile in their temperament, because the moment you give them the same heat that they're bringing you, they cannot take it. So yes, I think Chris might like the idea of a Sandia. You know, people over there use the term submissive and all the rest of it. Nah, she's just not fiery and aggressive. She just seems like a cool, mild-mannered person, and we need more of that.
And no, I'm not saying that we don't need more of that. What I'm saying is that she doesn't even sort of stand up for herself. You can be how she can be how she is. It's that she needs to in a hold on, trying
I
to
think
figure out the
what
right
you're
word.
looking for is for her to be able to read him the right act when he messes up.
Yeah, and like more of a
lay
like
down,
a
set him
yeah,
straight.
not the way that Millie and Sienna do, but like she just needs to be able to push back a little bit, but respectfully, because the way she's doing it now, she's not giving any sort of pushback at all. She's just allowing it to
Mhm.
happen, and that's where I had the problem with her. Is that yeah, I mean he's messing up a what could be a good relationship, but it's she's also allowing for him to just run rampant with how he's acting and speaking. So it's kind of both of them. It's not necessarily just him, in my opinion. So
Right. No, I get it. So do you think Sandia has a fear of losing her man, which
oh
is why
yeah,
she's so agreeable?
oh yeah. She
Okay.
she's
And what's the
the
problem
she's
with
the
that?
female version. She's a woman version of Aaron J. Essentially. I mean, because they're
Yes.
both holding on tight to things that are not serving them well, and so that's where they need to figure out why they're doing that. Um, because as it stands now, we don't really you don't know anything about Cynthia's background, about how she grew up, about what she saw in her immediate familial circles, and possibly even her friendship circles while she was growing up. So I mean, you got a little bit, I think, from Aaron J over the last like few episodes, including last night's. So, but Sandia, we don't know nothing. So, um, that's where I'm kind of like I kind of want to know more about her background, about why, what exactly happened. Um, because the way she's just allowing him to, I mean, just say these weird and basically hurtful things is just there has to be a reason for it. And I mean, obviously she needs to say it when she's ready to say it, but I kind of wouldn't I wouldn't be so surprised depending on what it is. I mean, like whatever it is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's she just had um emotionally neglectful parents, or something similar.
It could be. It could also be the fact that growing up in her culture, there was a dominant male presence in the house, and the mother was more in a role which was the maternal, nurturing role. So she was more softer spoken, and the dad was the braggadocious, how can I put it? insensitive with his comments type thing. And if she's grown up seeing that dynamic, then obviously that's something she's going to replicate. But I don't think she is, and I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say this, I don't think she's fully Americanized in the way she views her relationships. I think she tends to lean back towards her Haitian culture, which is why I think she has a hope that Chris and her will work out. I think, like I said initially, the cultural background they both come from seems to be the main reason that she gives for being attracted to him in the first place. But, you know, I do feel like she is very, very wary of saying something that may cause him to go off or cause a split in their relationship. Whereas he seems to be quite gung-ho about the way he expresses his thoughts and beliefs and things like that, even if it's at the detriment of her feelings. She plays it off as him over-exaggerating. That's what she did this episode. So she's covering him. She's telling everyone, nah, it ain't that bad. You know, when we're together, it's all good. Nah, you know, that's the type of stuff she's trying to portray. But Chris is going to make himself the villain 9 times out of 10. Every time he opens his mouth, there's going to be something, because he's steadfast in his beliefs, and he doesn't seem to be espousing things that are conducive to his relationship with Cynthia. I'm a player. I can get any girl. I can do that. They played the soundbite during the show, and I was like, man, how can you say that we got there, bro? When he's not her boyfriend. Then, like, yo, you've been talking for X amount of time. You're here to meet each other. Yeah, you're locked in now. Your boyfriend, you made in the water. But no, you're there as a couple. So you can't be talking all that crazy stuff. Anyway, that's my fault. Oh, we're gonna get onto the real triggering crazy thing.
Well,
said
I do.
Tonda.
I actually, there was one thing that I forgot to mention that I thought about last night. I don't know how much of Married at First Sight you've seen for the US version, but he was reminding Chris was reminding me of Eris from the Nashville season, and because they both, because they both got hurt within a previous relationship, and they both seem to be clinging on to that hurt. Like, if they let go, they're gonna, like, something bad's gonna happen to them physically or something. I mean, we know from with Eris that it was it at the time of the filming of the show or the season. It had been like 10 years or so, either right around 10 years or a little bit over 10 years. But and with Chris, we don't know how long ago this happened before filming, had been going on. But it seemed, regardless of when it actually happened, they're both still clinging on to it because it hurts too much to try to work through. So that's the only kind of thing I wanted to add. But yeah.
Okay. You're saying similarity between Chris and
I think the struggle streaming is happening right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think so, because they're kind of cutting out.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's the struggle stream. Listen, my service provider needs to get fired. All right. Am I all good now?
Yeah, right now you sound good.
Still true. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I definitely see similarities between Chris and Aris, but in Chris was not attracted just
True.
the physical attraction that was not there. I think Chris attraction said it seems to be more cultural. She thinks and the way she is, but not necessarily physical attraction. And I don't only speak on myself, but I do a lot of that, and I have a look to our friends. But and
I don't
physical
know
attraction is
what happened, but
Uh-oh.
I can't hear you if you're
Wait a
talking.
minute. Okay, hold on. What's it? Anything? Shit, what's it? You sure? What's going on? I'm gonna can you hear me? Oh, testing. No. Uh-oh. All right, let's do speed test. Hello?
Maybe you want to try to
Can you hear me now?
go and come back in.
Okay. All right, hold on. Just doing a quick speed test. Let me go and come back in.
All right. Well, hopefully it'll come back in a minute. But let's see. Oh, there he is. All right.
Okay. How are we doing now?
Sounds good for now. Hopefully it won't be struggling.
Yeah. I see last fire. There me connection.
Oh. Well,
I think my playing up. But yeah, Chris is attracted to Zendaya's value and he's but the attraction. And for some, you have to be then you'll change the you're trying because of traffic to her. Animal, hopefully you heard all of that. Uh-oh. Wait, you're on mute. Ari, you're on mute.
No, I didn't, but I was hoping it would kind of work itself out for like 2 seconds, but after a few seconds, but I guess it wants to be ridiculous today. We were so good for like the first hour, and then it just wanted to decide to cut up today.
It's dropped. I haven't done anything. I haven't touched anything. I haven't done anything. I've just been struggle streaming, and then all of a sudden the speed just drops.
I mean, I kind of got that you said that he is attracted to her. Like I think you said personality.
Yeah, he's attracted to the personality, the mindset, the way she is, her mannerisms, but not, she isn't the girl that he looks at and like, wow, oh my gosh, she's fine. And that plays a role in how he views her and how he acts towards her.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and he's not gonna change unless he really feels the urge to do so. Because that's because I got into therapy about 1.5 years ago, back again, and I felt because I've been listening to Kojo for a couple years by that point, and so with his videos I've been seeing some things in me that I didn't like, so and the urge was in me to want to go back to therapy to work on that, and that's where I see with Chris especially. I mean, I see this with everyone really, but he's the one that seems to need it, I think, the most. Especially with how he's been talking. So, but like I said, he's not gonna go out and seek someone if he's not feeling the spirit move him enough to talk with someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist. It could be, someone who he feels would help him work through whatever he feels he needs to work on. But it's just he needs to want to go do that, and at this point in time, or at least point in time when it was filming, he didn't want to do. He's not going to do it. So, yeah.
Right. Now, I definitely agree with that. I think from what he said about his previous relationship on this episode and the way he said it, he feels like after 8 years of being in that relationship, it didn't work out in the way he wanted it to. I think he even said he's got a child from that relationship. And it also sounds like that girl left him after 8 years of being with him.
He said that she had a child, and he thought of. I think he said the child was a boy, and so he thought of the boy as his son. That's what I remember him saying. So I can see how one could think that he had a child, but I think that from what I remember, that's what he said. I could be wrong though. He could have worded it a lot differently, and I just, you know, messed it up. But
Mhm.
that's what I thought he said. Um, well, all right, we can definitely shift it now. Where did you want to go to? Jo, I call her Joanna because I refuse to call her by her name, or her nickname, I should say. I refuse to call her by her name. Yeah, I mean, because I guess I know how I am with my name, so I'm like, you're gonna get your full first governmental name. So, I guess we can go to them.
Well, very similar to Chris and Sandia's dynamic again, but I think it's even worse. This to me is the worst couple on the show.
Ooh, not the worst one.
Yeah, the worst one. They win the first prize for being the worst. This is the problem. Joanna, she is not feeling Aaron at all. She hasn't done from the moment they sat down on that first date all the way through to now. Nothing has grown in a positive way towards him and progressing the relationship. Even when asked about it on this episode, with 2 episodes remaining, even asked at this point by the therapist, you know, where do you see this relationship going? Where do you see yourself in 2 years? He was quick. He said something like, taking spontaneous trips and, you know, um, I don't know, working or some other crap they said. But she was hesitant on any questions that predicted, gave an outlook of how she sees the relationship progressing or how soon, or she doesn't see nothing. She don't feel anything from the kiss. She's not attracted to him. Girl, go home. Tell him in a nice way, listen, it's just not working. It's not clicking. It's time to pack the bags and go home. I hope she does it in a respectful way, but there's no going back. What? So in the last 2 episodes, in the next 2 episodes, I should say, something's going to miraculously happen where she gets enamored by him, attracted to him. It's not going to happen. It's done. It's finished. And she needs to, put her big girl pants on. And when the therapist is now alone with her, listen, just say what it is. It's not working. He's not Chris. He's never going to be Chris. He's going to be Aaron, and that's not who you're attracted to. What were your thoughts?
I am just at this point. I don't have 2 F's to really give. Sorry for the like my French here, but at this point, I mean, because they're in some ways delusional, more Aaron more so than her, because he's trying to hold on to something that is not serving him at all, and he's living in Delulu land, and he just, if he can't read the room at this point and just let it go, then I'm starting to worry that there's no saving him. But people can be saved. It's just they should want to get saved. That's the thing, and he's unfortunately a hard head mixed for a soft butt, because, or whatever that saying is. I don't know if I said it right, but I mean, because both him and Cynthia are just hard headed, so hard headed. Like, I need him to look within himself as well, and just um explore why he's holding on to things so tightly, um when it's not serving him, and just at least want to try to not do that anymore. But like with Chris, since he's not wanting to do it, he's gonna have to just, I guess, deal with it and just continue to be on the struggle bus, because I mean, I don't know. And then Joanna, I think she knew deep down since before they even went on this show that she didn't like him like that.
Mm-hmm.
But and maybe in some capacity we're all guilty of this in any aspect of our lives. She didn't want to admit it because well, she's gonna have to figure out why she didn't want to admit it. That's her I don't want to say burden to bear, but that's her thing that she needs to figure out, is why she didn't want to admit it. But she didn't want to admit it, and so here we are. And now she told millions of people in the U.S. alone, and now crossing over the pond to the U.K. people, that she felt absolutely nothing when she was kissed by Aaron. So, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it seems she's a little bit more self-aware than him at the moment, but she's still not wanting to fully admit it. And so she's still there, still riding that struggle bus. And, it seems like whether she's meaning to or not, coming off as the worst person here, because she freely admitted she didn't feel anything for this man when he kissed her. So at this point, unfortunately, she's looking worse off than him. So
yeah, listen, you got to know, right? You got to know that him hearing that feedback from their kiss, like him watching it now on TV 2 years later, he would still be hurt by that, because he was really feeling her. So for her to say, I felt nothing, absolutely nothing, there was nothing, she went on, right? That has got to be one of the most crushing things you can do to a person. So yeah, we've spoken about Chris and how he is with Sandia. As I said, there is a slight definition, a slight distinction, because Chris seems to like some aspects of Sandia and is willing to try and make the relationship work, improve on his communication and things like that. Jody is not making an attempt to do anything at all with the hopes of improving things between her and her man, because she's not interested. Now, can you imagine if Chris said about Sandia, you know what, we kissed and I felt nothing, absolutely nothing? Do you know how many people would be piling on him? Right? It's a very cruel and callous thing to say. You can politely say, you know what, I think I'm not feeling the same way that you are in terms of the passion or relationship aspect. So I think, it's not working for me. That's it. But Jody doesn't want to do that, because she wants to keep him there, because it's someone that likes her. It's someone that is really trying hard to be with her. she's just going to keep him there and keep him trying. But really, her heart and her mind is not into him at all. So rather than be real with herself and set him free, it seems like she just wants to keep him there, not even for her own amusement, because he doesn't even seem to be, making her smile or anything. She's really just made her mind up that there's nothing there. So it's time to go. You can't have it both ways. You can't say you don't feel attracted to the guy. You didn't appreciate the kiss. You don't like it. You didn't like when he moved the bed to get close to you and cuddle with you and kiss you on your forehead in the morning. You didn't like the intimacy challenges. Nothing. So it's time to go home. The longer she leaves it, the harder it's going to be to break it off with him, because they're spending more and more time together. And if one person's trying and the other person has checked out, then that's the end. It's not being reciprocated. You did manage to hear.
Oh yeah, no, I did. I heard. I was kind of I was reading my notes a little bit. Because I was reading about the part where they were talking with the expert at the end.
Okay.
So, yeah, that the way they left off was crazy because so they meet with the expert, and so she's Dr. Allie. She's pretty much feeling exactly what everyone else is feeling or seeing. And asking them how their first in-person experience went and all this other stuff, and long story short, she asked Joanna to talk privately without Aaron there, and she asked the question, do you, if I remember correctly, she asked, do you think the relationship was worth pursuing? Okay, cool. I didn't make that up. Okay.
No, you didn't imagine it. No.
Because I don't have cable, so I watch this in a different way. So I can.
So do I. I struggle stream it too. It's all right.
Okay. At least I'm not by myself on that. But so yeah, I am hoping that she is truthful at the top of next episode. I'm hoping, but again, my how I'm set up, I don't have much faith because how she's been moving. So because she can tell her in her solo confessionals she felt nothing with the kiss, and her body language has always been off even before this point, so it's not like she was really hiding it. But with how she's been acting even last week, I don't have much faith that she'll say anything, but she did surprise me and she did say that she didn't feel anything. So I was wholeheartedly expecting her to never say anything, and leave the whole experience not having said anything about how she didn't find him attractive. She didn't see this relationship going anywhere. So I guess it's a leg up, kind of, if you want to kind of put a positive spin on it. But she really is not inspiring any confidence in me to really believe she's going to say much of anything. So,
yeah. Well, she's not inspiring any confidence in anyone, even Aaron himself. It seems to be him that's kind of hoping, wishing that somehow it's going to turn around. And as hopeless of a romantic as he might be, No, like the saying goes, when someone shows you who they are, believe them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Jodie, sexologist, quite vocal and outspoken, sensible, knows what she's talking about. She is leading him to believe that there's still hope there. But the thing is, she's not even dangling the carrot. She's not even saying, if you do this, then we're going to have sexy time. If you're doing this, then we're going to hit the boom boom room. If you do this, then we're going to get closer. If you do, she's not even doing those things. She's not interested, right? Those things are not good anyway. You never kind of barter and have this exchange system going on in a relationship. You do this for me, then I'll give you this. It never works. But I'm saying she doesn't even inspire confidence that they're going to last even to the end of the show, or they have anything in common. They have nothing going for them. Zero. And that's why I think the therapist quickly sat her down. After the 2 minutes they sat down in front of her, the therapist was like, yo, there's clearly one person trying here, one person optimistic, one person hopeful. And it's the same person, and that person is not Miss Jodie. So that's why she's asked her the difficult question now. Listen, you're at the fork in the road now. If you don't see nothing growing, passion-wise, connection-wise, in aspects that are necessary, you've got to leave. The show's not for you to just stay on the show and you know, get involved in mess and drama. The show is connect with the person that you've been talking to online for a certain amount of time. And if that connection doesn't work, then it's home time. And you can at least say you tried.
Yeah, I was kind of mention Austin and Becca from the most recent MAFS season, but I mean, like you pointed out, like with Austin, he was breadcrumbing her till the cows came home, and we saw also how that turned out. So, I mean, I was gonna say, like at the very least, she's not really breadcrumbing him, but I mean, she's still sticking around. So in a way, she is, because she's, by sticking around, she's making it seem like she's willing to make things work and all that, but
exactly. Yeah, and that's the form of breadcrumbing. It's giving him false hope that it's going to work, because, like I said, he may be, I won't say a hopeless romantic, but he may be more optimistic about love and connecting. You know, he seems to think, based on what he said this episode, he's like, yeah, I think I found the one type thing. Bro, she ain't giving you nothing for you to think that. Nothing. You try and get close to her, she bites your head off. You try and initiate something, she criticizes it to high heaven. There's nothing. She's not even breadcrumbing him. So, yeah, Aaron is a bit delusional. I think he's too soft. I don't mean he needs to raise up on her or anything. No. I think he's too soft in the sense where, listen, bro, the feelings you have for her are not being reciprocated. So you have to have the self-awareness to know that this isn't your person. She's not feeling you like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was, I'm not gonna finish that thought because I was, yeah, I'm gonna kind of keep it here. But yeah, I think that he and everybody needs to just go to someone that they care about, and really that'll actually tell like it is, but in a respectful way, even if it's not a therapist. Because we got therapist money out here. Thankfully, my therapist does a sliding scale, but not everybody has money for a therapist. So find somebody that will keep tell you like it is without being disrespectful. Because it's not really looking good for a lot of these people, except maybe Millie and Greg and Shay and Josh, but even for those two, it's not really looking all that good. They just happen to be the best out of the 5 that are still there. So.
Okay, I hear you on that. Okay, so what about with Diamond introducing her daughter to Aaron? What do you think about that?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Part of me wants to give the girl grace because, well, let me start off by saying initially I didn't like how she was going, I guess, hard on Aaron, and she rightfully has, I guess, the right to do that because Diamond's her mom. She doesn't want to see her mom hurt, which I get. But then she seemed to flip flop a little bit too easily for my taste. But I think thinking about it now is that maybe it's just because we're seeing what he has been doing this entire time. So she hasn't. She's only heard about him via Diamonds. From what I gather, she hasn't really done like a video chat with him. So, and plus, I'm gonna give her a little bit of grace because she's young. She's like 19, or at least was 19 at the time. So we all remember being 19, young and dumb, and not knowing much better. So I'm gonna try to give her some grace on that part because she's young. She was young. She's still young because it's only 2 years ago. So, I'm gonna try to extend some grace on that part because people can be charmers and put up a mask. It usually doesn't stay up that long, unless you're committing crimes or something. But and you can try to get away with it as for years. But I mean, usually most people can't keep up a mask that long. So. And I'm thinking she was just seeing what Aaron was trying to show her. So I will extend her grace on that because she's not seeing everything that we're seeing. She's only seeing the polished-ish version of him that he's trying to show her, or showed her on at the time. So look, I'd like to hear what her thoughts are, seeing if she's seen the show back now. I'm not sure if she has, but if she has seen it back now, I want to know what she feels about him now. If her feelings have changed. But otherwise, I think she had a point, maybe, when she said that she didn't feel like he was actually in love with her. I'm not totally sold that he's in love with her either, personally, but again, I'm seeing.
Ooh, why?
I'm seeing everything that he's been doing as opposed to her at the time. So I think though he desperately wants to have someone in his life. Maybe because he feels like he's getting older, and he doesn't want to be alone, so he maybe feels desperate. Because I'm not saying this is true, but I mean, based off of what we're seeing, it seems like maybe he's a little bit desperate because how are you with Diamond initially, and then in the middle of your relationship, you propose to another woman? That doesn't scream love to me. So that's the only thing I kind of have. What are your
I think he may be smitten with Diamond. I think he cares a lot about her. If he says he loves her, then I'm not gonna challenge that. That's how he says he feels. He got no reason to lie. I think he's coming from the standpoint of 6 kids, 2 failed marriages. So he's been there and done that. And I think he's trying to make amends for the failure of the previous relationship and breakdown of the family, by now trying to dedicate himself to the girl that he has feelings for, which in this case is Diamond. And I think I do, in terms of trying again. I don't think you should resign and quit and say, okay, well, you know what? These 2 marriages, for whatever reason, all women are bad, all women are terrible. I don't want to get in anymore. That's what Chris is talking like, or Chris's friend. No. So I think it's a good thing he's gone past the previous stages of his relationship. And I also understand the caution with Diamond introducing her daughter to him, because her daughter is her most prized possession. And so it should naturally take time for you to vet and see the person for an extended before you introduce him to your kids. Because trust me, getting with someone with kids adds a different dimension to your relationship. They're not yours biologically, but you're expected to accept that they are part of the package that comes with this. Now, and so I it's a natural thing to do after a certain amount of time. When Diamond's come, she's going to introduce the child to Aaron, and that also shows how serious she is as well, because she don't look like she's going to introduce guys that she's feeling to her child. And she even said that the daughter's feedback is very important to how the relationship continues, if it continues. So I don't have a problem with him meeting the child. I'll take him at his word and say that he does love her and is in love with her. He jumps into his fair share of scraps that she gets us, and he doesn't need to. Doesn't have to do that. He's going to constantly stay trying to win her over, though. I think he's volunteering himself to do that. He's going to constantly try to show her, constantly try to be there for her and stand by her. Not sure if he's ever going to get tired of doing it. Maybe when she stops appreciating it. But right now, while she's appreciating his efforts, I have a problem with how they're going about it. Messy, and they need to stop other people's business. In terms of how they are with each other, regardless of how messy, but they seem to like each other. And I also look at other couples called them out by saying, how comes this love seems to be, how comes it's always Aaron saying, I stick by my woman, then I love her? How comes we never hear Diamond saying the same things about Aaron? That's very telling. It's very telling. Because if the couple, if the couples in the house haven't heard it, it's being said, and their excuse was, "Oh well, how we conduct ourselves in bed isn't how we conduct ourselves in front of people," and that's when Aaron was like, "Oh, so does that mean that couples can have a closer connection than what you guys feel?" You know, and that was the counter to when Aaron was saying that he doesn't see a connection between Jodie and Aaron. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I kind of started talking when in the middle you were talking, so that was my bad. But I was gonna say, well, then maybe I'm wrong in my thinking for Aaron, and he may be feeling desperate. Maybe she's the one that feels desperate, and doesn't want to be alone. And I mean, I don't know, just something about their dynamic feels sort of desperate a little bit. I what?
Like they're doing too much.
Well, that but something about their dynamic to themselves, amongst themselves, not with amongst everyone else, feels like maybe it's not desperation. Maybe I'm picking up on something else, and it just feels off. Because obviously they're not, talking about what needs to be talked about, like that freaking proposal that he did. They're just focusing on everyone else, and they're it just seems like they're trying to not work on any issues that they may have, and some of it could still be stemming from the fact that he proposed to someone else on such a public platform. So we don't know, because they're not willing to take a look at themselves. Because why? I mean, maybe that's what her daughter Mari was picking up on, is that, there seems to be something wrong here. Because she even brought up, how come I've never seen any dates happen? And Diamond's like, well, we had a date. I'm like, yeah, a date, but that's a date in 5 years that we know of. So
yeah,
what's really going on here? Something seems really off. I mean, I don't know if they talked about the whole proposal thing, but because we never saw it, and maybe on the cutting room floor, but yeah, something seems off, and to me it seems like desperation on some parts of it from someone. Whether, I mean, I could be wrong. It's coming not from Aaron, but from Diamond. Who knows? But only they can really say as much if it's true. But, and I have a question. So did we know that Aaron has 6 kids? I thought he only said he had 2 before. That struck me as weird. Like you're first it was 2, and then now all of a sudden it jumped to 6. When did that happen?
Boy, busy.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, six children out of 2 marriages. Yeah, because I only thought he had 2 as well. But what I don't know if they're also biologically his, because I've interviewed Aaron already twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he did. I don't think he mentioned 6. I think he said 2, but they may be from children that were from his previous partners, and he just, I don't know. But I would definitely have remembered him saying 6 kids, because I'd have been like, "What? What are you doing, bro?" But now, does he introduce Diamond to his kids? And how that turned
out? I mean, he's all the way out in California, and I don't even remember where his kids were previously. All I do remember is that they were in a different state. I think they were either on the East Coast or they were in the middle of America. I don't remember. I'm blanking, but because I didn't write it down. But either way, it'd be a trek because America's freaking big, man. It's like depending on where they are, where his kids are still at. It could. I mean, yeah, planes are a thing, but plane tickets are fucking expensive. Even going from like, say, the East Coast to like somewhere in the middle of America, it's still freaking expensive. So even for a one-way ticket, so I mean, unless you plan on driving, which is going to take days, then what exactly are you going to do? I mean, the only thing you can really do is video chats. I mean, video chats are not really, I guess, the same because you can always pick up things better in person than on a video call. So it just, I guess, I mean, if he wants her enough, he will do it, but he's had 5 years to do it and he hadn't done it. So I don't know. I mean, I know I get protecting your kids. I mean, I don't have kids myself, so I mean, I can't fully understand, but I mean, it seems like if you really wanted to introduce your kids to the person in your life that isn't their biological parent, you would do so sooner rather than later. And 5 years seems like a long time to wait if you hadn't done it by that point. So that's, I guess, part of my thinking. Maybe that I mean, if you really wanted to, you would have done so by now. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm always of the belief that if a man knows who he wants, he will go after it. And it's been 5 years. This dude hasn't proposed to her not once. At least 9.
Wait a minute.
Episode. So
Harry, wait a minute. On the next episode, he proposes.
But I mean, but it took him 5 years to do it, though. That's where I'm getting at. It's like it took him 5 years to do it. Like it doesn't. If I like I said, I hardly believe if a man knows what he wants, he will go after it, and he will do it sooner rather than later. That's my whole point. And
so hold on a minute. Wait a minute. If a man knows what he wants, he will go after it, right? Yes. May not be accepted. And also, if a woman wants, doesn't she have to go after it too?
Yes, that is a good point. And so the same could be said of Diamond. So I will say that.
Because, you know, he hasn't, from what we see, introduced to Diamond yet. Maybe he's on him time, or maybe there's a situation where it just hasn't as important to him as it is to her. Who knows? But I think it's pretty clear that Aaron sees Dund as his next potential wife. At some point, there will have to be that meeting where you're going to flee. So usually, if you're along with your kids, it goes a long way to convincing the person that you are worth taking a chance with. And I think next episode when he proposes, I'll be interested to see how she responds to that, because now he's met the child. Remember what she said is, if the child gives her blessing, then she knows it's all good. The child's given the blessing now, so I'm gonna say, well, I have to meet your kids as well, or is she gonna accept the proposal? That's what I'm looking to see from them.
Yeah, you know how production loves to chop and screw freaking the scenes up. So I mean, they're making it look like she's having hesitations, but that literally could just be editing. So I mean, so I'll wait and see with what she says and putting her money where her mouth is and all that. But I mean,
that's what it is. Put her money where her mouth is. He's passed the test of meeting the child. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. And to be honest, is the only couple that look like there's likely to be a proposal. No one else is ready. I doubt Shade's ready, even though they've been dating the longest, 12 years.
It's not really 12 years.
If,
it's not really 12 years if she stopped talking to him for 2 of them years. So I mean, it's really 10. But I mean,
Aaron and he's 5 years with Diamond. That's it's double the amount of time they have been together.
Yeah, I think that baby really threw a hitch in their points because, I mean, at least 10 years together, and you like, if you know what you want, like I said, you go after it. So I don't see why. Just these people need to hang it up. It's so bad.
Listen, that child is going to continue to play a factor in the relationship. It will, because of situation is meant to be a purely platonic situation, and now that person's tied to your relationship, your family now.
Exactly.
Shay's going to be reminded of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was gonna say, like, well, he had the 12-year-old. I think the 12-year-old, like, right before they, either met or officially got together or whatever. So it was. I mean, she could accept that because that was before when they, I guess, got together. So that was something she could accept. Right. But the baby was when they were supposed to be together, and as a result, she stopped talking to him for 2 years. So, yeah, now you're gonna, there's gonna, I mean, whether she may, like, she knows it or not, there may be some contentious feelings now because I mean both towards Josh and the woman who he slept with, the roommate he slept with, that there might be some bad feelings there, whether she knows it or not. I mean, I don't know for sure if she still has any. She's claiming she's over it, but I mean, all we can go off is her word that she's over it. But there's the potential for unresolved feelings there, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. I hear you on. Okay. Anything else that we didn't? I know. Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm scared now.
Okay. So what do you think of Rhonda's reaction to Chris saying women, in his opinion?
I'm not sure. Because I've read or maybe even heard on Jay's live last night that he only said it to kind of get a rise out of her, and I can see how I could see that potentially being a thing. And if that's the case, then they need to literally get him off, because he's literally being a menace to society at this point. But part of me is kind of okay with her calling him out, but then I'm thinking back to what you said earlier about Aaron H defending Diamond and her meddling and everything, and it kind of feels like maybe she shouldn't have, because maybe I don't know, it could be looked at as scolding maybe, and shaming people really never works. Not if you're set up like Chris is, where they don't care about being shamed or not, because they're not in a space to want to work on themselves. So I mean, on the one hand, I'm kind of glad she called him out on it, but on the other hand, it's like I mean, it just seems to, at the moment, it fell on deaf ears, unfortunately, and so it just is. I don't know. It's like disappointing a little bit, because it's like I said, it's just not gonna really work on him all that well. So.
Yeah. Okay. This is the problem I with that situation. This conversation, this and all that, it started basically because the question about him controlling Sandia, right? And basically from that, does how much allowed to have? Like, is it his way or the highway? He have the control in the relationship. Now, this is the problem. Someone like is a tightrope between having masculine presence and ego, considering himself to be a, then at the same time being able to coexist with who equally wants to have a strong ego, strong, and be a leader as well. For Chris, two relationship gonna work. It's not one, right? Most of the time, that's then there'll be some stuff and enhance my situation. Then I can respect you. Then I can submit to be the attraction. You can't have it both ways. You can't expect to have this guy and he has to lead you and the rest of it. Then you're also going to be a leader and require him to submit, because that's 50-50. That's a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
If both of you are leaders and both of you have, and both of you are out there working, grinding, doing the same kind of things, then both of you, when you share and split, because now you're both co-pilots of the ship. It isn't gonna, one person's out there grinding, taking the responsibility. You want to have the responsibility as well, but you ain't doing anything. That's never going to work. I think score is unnecessary, but insight happened, because unfortunately we do live in a culture where single parent family are, and when they're raising their children, they're doing it by themselves. No, do it by themselves, and they responsibility and have the leadership as well. As a consequence of that, now you're the leader and all the rest of it, not able to respect a guy that comes into your life like, because now you feel you are going to carry on the same traits that your mom is, which is, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be independent, I don't do it by myself. It's hard, but I can do it all by myself. By mentality, you're not allowing a guy to come like responsibility from you. Some don't want, because that's just their whole identity. They're the strong. So Chris's comments are always going to trigger anybody that has that type of dynamic, a strong single mother. And that's why I feel like Taronda, her sleeves up, and she felt like, okay, I'm gonna set this guy straight, because where I come from and how I grew up, you know, my strong mother raised me and this, that, the other. So I'm not gonna have you talk down on women like that. That's a fair position to have, but that's also a trauma that you have, because you're not supposed to be by yourself. You're not supposed to be single and alone. You're supposed to be open to building and finding your partner, your forever person. And if you have those walls up, you're never going to find them. You're going to repel them straight away. Hello?
No, I was trying to see if you were still gonna say something else, but
No.
no, I can agree with that. Just yeah, I just don't know. I mean, I still feel like he like a lot of it's just gonna fall on deaf ears, unfortunately, for him. So I mean, until he wants to do something about it, he's not going to do anything about it. Because I mean, to say women are bad decision makers is pretty atrocious, in my opinion. So, I don't know exactly what he thought he was going to gain from that. Maybe I mean, I hope that he looks back on this and has some sort of um revelations, but the hope is not high. Confidence is not high at all. So, um, I mean, because like I said, he's giving very much Eris, and he wants to. I mean, and even kind of thinking on it right now, I'm maybe not as convinced that it was solely the 8-year relationship that he had that made him be like this. I can see how it was a mixture of both that and his childhood, because I do think I'm starting to think that maybe his childhood played a factor, like most people, like it does for most people. So if he's just acting real disgusting.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. Now, but I also think, again, I will say there's a difference between, and this may sound atrocious, so I apologize in advance. But I feel like if you are raised in a single parent household, your views and your experiences are based around that situation. If you're brought up in a 2-parent household, then your views are going to be shaped by your experiences in that situation, in that family dynamic. And the two different family dynamics, raised in a single parent household as opposed to being raised in a 2-parent household, they're vastly different. So you're not going to align on some of the views that you have with regards to the roles that the parent plays or husband or wife plays in relationships. If you've never experienced it before, then how really can you empathize or imagine what it's really like? Because I tell you right now, I was raised in a 2-parent family, 2-parent household. My parents celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary last week.
well, happy belated wedding anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Now, me and my siblings, right? I've got a brother and a sister. But we all know, like when we're together and we're talking and stuff, we all know that if we were in a single parent household with just my mom raising us, our lives would be completely different to how they are. We would see relationships differently. We would carry ourselves as people differently. We would view our mum differently. And because my father has been and always has been present, um, we know compared to having the two parent stability, we would be far worse off if it was just my mom by herself. And it's not because not because she'll be working every other day to take care of us or hustling or whatever. Nah, it's not that. It's because of how my mother is. My mom's a very cool. Me and my mom are tight. I'm the oldest. Like me and my mom are very close, right? I'm probably the most similar like to her in a lot of ways than my other siblings. They take more after my dad, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, my mom can be very fiery, and my dad is the opposite. My dad's very cool and very calm. My dad's the loving, nurturing, put his arm around you and ask you how your day was. Is there anything I could do to help? Console you, laugh and joke with you, drive you to where you need to go. You're like, my dad's that type of person. My mom isn't that. But my mom is cool in her own right. She's very street smart, much more than my dad. She's much more direct, but she's also very, she tries to keep up with the times. Now, the balance of having those two influences has what's made my sister the way she is. My sister's very close to my dad, like very close. Their father-daughter bond is crazy. And it's my sister's birthday today, by the way. So happy birthday to my sister.
A happy birthday.
My sister is the most talented, intelligent person I know. Like talented, very gifted in many ways. But she's also very much like my dad. She's very much, it's like they're clone, like she's his twin almost. But she, as strong and as intelligent and talented and creative as she is, she still seeks a husband, seeks a man in her life to share life with. My sister does not run around saying I can do it all by myself. She can. She's got all the accolades and the attributes to be able to do it, but that's not her mentality. Her mentality is, her purpose is to find a husband and get married to him. Now, she's engaged, so her fiance is a very cool dude, right? And he has a mindset, obviously, of wanting to get married and have a wife too. So because they gel, and he's from a two-parent family, but because they gel in that aspect, they see things the same way, that helps to grow their relationship. If he was from a single-parent family, or my sister was from a single-parent family, they may not be as cohesive as a unit, if you get what I mean, because they haven't had a shared experience of what it's like to grow up in the same family dynamic.
Yeah.
And that will color the way that they view the other person's role in their life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I definitely get it. Because a little background for me, I'm one of 7 kids.
What? 7?
Yeah, I was the baby of the family until I was 11. And then my little brother came around. And then I got 3 other siblings after him. So I'm at heart I'm the youngest, but for most of me, but part of me is the kind of middle child because I'm kind of square in the middle. But my parents were married for about the first 5 or 6 years of my life, but they got divorced, and my mom did get remarried twice after that. Once when I was living with her, and then a second time after I had moved in with my dad. So I have I don't know how deep I want to get right now. But I have, because while I was listening to you talk, I was, thinking about my thoughts on it, about my mom's relationships while I was growing up, and not necessarily wanting to kind of air that out about how I feel about that right now, but I guess long story short, I guess I don't have the best feelings about it, because I know I personally want a long-term relationship myself. I just don't. I always flip-flop between whether to get married or whether not to get married. And hearing you talk, now I see, how that could be because of how I saw my mom growing up. So, because I didn't, put that together until now. So, I mean, I see where you're coming from. So, it's definitely two people with two different backgrounds can. And not saying it can never work, but they have a lot of work to do with each other and individually to make that work. So, but it's just a lot harder, obviously, because they different backgrounds and stuff. So, yeah.
Right. No, I get that. I hear that. Well, it's difficult. I mean, as a guy, in the family dynamic I grew up in, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of ladies who grew up in a similar dynamic to mine, where they had married parents at least, right? But there are also a lot who have come from a single parent family. And, I think I may give off an air of arrogance to a degree when I talk about what I only, or it may be a fantasy or a fairy tale to some people because they've never seen a successful marriage work. So it seemed like fairy tale. It seemed like, nah, that ain't gonna happen, But that's because their experience has made them feel like it's a fantasy because they've never seen it actually work. Whereas I have. So I know what I'm looking for. And but it's not my job to be trying to convince the lady that, you know, that I'm going to marry or whatever. It's not my job to convince her to change her ways. It's up to her to realize that if we are going to get together in a relationship, we both have to contribute in our own unique ways to that relationship. And it's subconscious. It isn't a list of things where, okay, well, you're going to do X, Y, you're going to take out the trash, you're going to fix all the stuff around the house, you're going to do this, and then in return, I'm going to make myself look pretty. And we can have jiggy jiggy. No, it's not going to happen. It doesn't work. Where has it worked? You get with someone, wise, if you're dating for intention, you get with someone, you hope everything connects, and even though it doesn't get hostile or disrespectful to the mission of you. Then that builds resentment. You have to all the time articulate where you see your partner self accountability and trust you love or want to be with, you'll do that subconsciously. If you have put conditions, and all this other crap, you have to. So with Chris, I think his views are and very caveman-like.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, they come from a more traditional model of relationships look like. It's not like that anymore. And especially the audience of people where probably only Sandra is the only traditional lady there. The rest of them are kind of their way of thinking. So they have a mix of traditional, but they don't actually have traditional values themselves. That's true. Hey, my TED talk is over. Send a bill in the post.
You know what? I might be delinquent on that payment, but just so you know. But no, yeah, I agree. Did he ever say what his family dynamics were, or are they like? Was he like Sandia, where he didn't really explain much? Because I don't remember.
Nah, he explained it, but there was a rejected, and the show obviously was triggered by what he said too. So
Okay.
the least he says, the better. But he can't have that mindset and expect to have it easy.
Yeah.
In that, people are raised by single parents, and they will see it as very disrespectful when you make those type of comments. They're seen as outdated. The thing is, like I said, you can't help where like your family situation, but it's still that it's normalized. If you know your family dynamic, the people you get into relationships with. Like, I know, like, there was a time when I sat down and reflected on it. I was like, you know what? My dad, he's never sworn. He's never, like, he never flipped. Nothing. When he gets mad, he basically just say, okay, oh, I've said what I said. I said my piece. Whatever you want. If you don't listen to me, then it's up to you. Okay, you must feel. He doesn't get mad, right? But what that did to me was it made me, especially in my last relationship, I tried to stay no matter what. Like, I was going to be with. I know things can go down at times, but regardless of all of that, I want to live and I want to make it work. To my detriment, that allowed me, through it allowed me to become not respected as much as I should have been, because I'm seen as someone who doesn't want to argue, you know. And then when I do get eventually a point and I start chiming back, then I'm seen as sassy, and I'm seen as, oh, you know, you hurt my feelings because you called me out my name, even though I've been called out my name. You know, even though I've had to sit there and take it. The moment I realize, man, I don't want to deal with this crap anymore, then I'm going to be the bad guy. So I found myself staying in this where too many things were being said, and I was just expected to just take it. And that downside to seeing my dad stay in a marriage. I'm not saying he went through that. My mum, like I said, she Jamaican. My dad's Jamaican, but they're both different temperaments. My mum go off like volcanic, 0 to 1 very quickly. But it's usually on us, you know. It's usually on the kids. It's not on my dad. We get it. Well, I get it.
Oh no, now you get it. Oh,
my
Jesus.
siblings don't. I get it. But yeah. Also, growing up in a environment where I get, my sister is like the next one down from me. So me and very close, even though we're very different people, and we're closer to different. But me and my sister are cool, right? My brother, larger age gap, but we're cool as well. We have a relationship, right? But with my brother, that's my mom and dad's favorite right there. He gets
no, not he's your parents' favorite.
Yep. But again, it's all good. It shows me that right? Because in my culture, the one that goes out, makes mistakes, and gets punished, and, you know, told to straighten up and all the rest of it. The middle child usually can watch the older child's mistakes and then have to go, and the baby just gets spoiled and can do whatever they want. That's not going to carry on in my legacy, but that's what I grew up seeing. You know, I get the whole, I get the different dynamics that can occur in a family situation. Said as intelligent and as gifted as some like my sisters, she absolutely knows that she is here to be with a man that she chooses to be with and to go for. Whereas I see a lot more say they don't need a man. They are mothers. They can do whatever they need to do. That's cool. There's not enough men to go around. So maybe those women that are strong like that will be by themselves at the end of the day, which is a shame. Because there should be a lid for every bottle, or whatever the saying goes. I think there is your person, and you have to be able to attract them. And once you attract them, keep them interested. And it's not just conversation. You have to keep them interested through loads of different aspects of your relationship. Otherwise, you're going to grow up so battle hardened and scarred from previous experiences, you're going to shut off the ability to attract the opposite sex. Okay, TED Talk's definitely over now.
Sorry, I was letting you go because you said your spirit was moved to say something, so I was like, go off. I am not mad at it, because when I get that way, I'm like, ugh. Tend to be short and sweet, but to the point. So I don't like mincing words if I don't have to, because I freaking hate repeating myself. So I'm like, if I say it once, there you go. So I'm like, ugh. But no, I agree. I agree with you. So,
Okay, so next week we have a proposal to look forward to and a reaction.
And it looks like maybe Greg's birthday party is happening too, I think.
Yep. Yep. And we also quite possibly have the conclusion of Aaron and Jodie's relationship.
I hope so, because that is dead in the water. Because we need to be put, like, not only does Aaron need to be put out of his misery, but we need to be put out of our misery too, because it's almost criminal her prolonging this at this point. Like, please set this man free.
Yeah, it's sad. You're there to try and meet the person you've been spending time talking and the most optimistic person is going to want to see if they can build on it and if they can create from it. And the other person, if they're not feeling it, maybe they don't want to give up the time that they spent. But if the attraction isn't going to grow at a sensible speed, then it's not there. So hopefully it's over. Eventually. And she can have those Cheetos and hot.
I forgot about that. It's like
I didn't. I was like, when he said he enjoyed it, how did you enjoy the taste of Cheetos and hot pickles?
I think it's hot Cheetos and pickles. I think he had that mixed up a little bit, but I get your point though.
Listen, the breath is going to be kicking after that. So, I'm not sure how he enjoyed that.
I mean, she must really be craving that stuff, because hot Cheetos and pickles, that sounds kind of nasty. I mean, I'm already not partial to hot Cheetos in the first place, but I mean, and it just apparently with pickles is just weird. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when she said that, I don't even think I really heard it the first time until I think someone else mentioned, like, what are you eating or something like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I guess whatever makes you happy. But so I just let it go out of my mind. So I was, but yeah. One thing I won't let
I
go
think that the
Mhm.
telling thing for me is while all the couples are connecting and spending the night with energy, are still sleeping in separate beds and they're not even
Uh-uh.
so
No. She rather social distance than even cuddle with him. I'm like, you can't even do a little bit of cuddling at all. Like, I mean, like, because I
you're right.
like, I mean, I'm pretty picky about who I like to hug, but I mean, and want to cuddle with, but I mean, like touch it, whatever. But I mean, if I'm with a guy, I'm gonna, I would want to do the cuddlings and the snugglings and the kissing and the like. I would want to do that, but and hand holding. But I mean, I, she's just so. I mean, she's acting like she's about to go all in and have full on sex, and it's like, come on, there's more than intimacy than that. I mean, there's more. It's just. I mean, if that's the only thing you can think of to that means intimacy, then you need to reframe your thinking there. So, I don't know.
Well, she's a sexologist, so she should. I agree with you. It seems like she associates any physical contact with sexual activity, and that's something she's trying to hold back from. There must be an element of that going on. But I also agree. It seems like with no COVID and no mandate in place, she's still choosing to social distance from her man, who she. So it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's finished. There's none. There's no saving grace. Jodie turned to this therapist and say, "Boom. I've had a change of heart. I really like this guy. I'm gonna just call it what it is. It's time to go home." She ain't even on the show if there is no connection between her and Aaron. So, time to go home. Time to social distance and be in lockdown at home with your hot Cheetos and pickles.
Anyways, all right. Let the people know where you will be, what you're going to be doing as far as the show goes. If you're plan on doing anything more with it.
Okay. Well, we have potentially lined up in the pipeline. Last week I had Boyle jump in because there was some technical we didn't agree when we were reviewing, but I invited Kojo Pra, special guest, and yeah, he jumped in and we had a conversation about the show. So this week we have a guest. I won't reveal who it is. That's what we can find out. We do have someone, not Aaron. We've spoken to Aaron twice, but we do have who may be coming in to give his thoughts on his TV screen. Because remember, these castmates are watching the show for the first time of it being filmed. We may have that. But that's tomorrow, I think. But otherwise, I'm going to be staying tuned. I'm going to be watching these next few episodes. Look for couples that get it together, and the experiment hasn't been a waste. I would like to see if are some couples that like and connected with the person after so long of speaking with them, and they're able to go and form serious, long-lasting relationships. Because let's face it, online dating is a real thing. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have thought this was possible. Or maybe 15 years ago. Those who came before internet, but now with advances in technology, you can connect with people who aren't in your street, aren't in your town. And it would be good to see if some of those relationships actually form real life relationships that lead to happiness. So yeah, that's me. What you got going on? When Elsid return next week? Like, what's the situation for you?
Elsid has said that she was only gonna miss this week. So me and her should be back next week at our regular time, like usual. I mean, unless something changes, where she might have family emergency come up or something come up. I mean, I still plan on being here next week with her. 12:30, about 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern time. So, that's my plan as of right now. After this show ends, though, I'm not sure what I plan on covering. I mean, me and her had planned on covering Love is Blind UK when it comes out in August on Netflix. So we still got about a month, almost 2 months, depending, because they still haven't announced a release date as far as I know for that. So all I know is August for that one, but we were wanting to do the international versions of reality TV. So but after this show ends, I'm not sure. I guess I can always get with people and see what to do as far as other shows go. Because I have nothing planned after this ends. So I will see. I will try to find something to cover. Maybe we can get together behind the scenes and find something that we can do together or something if that's what you would like to do. But as of right now, it's just this, and then in the near future, Love is Blind UK in August, whenever that drops, and then that's about it for me.
Okay. That sounds good. Well, stay tuned for tomorrow. We may have more than one. You never know. That's maybe the new thing. So, but yeah, in terms of these shows, to be honest, because I'm in the same kind of age range demographic, some of the participants, right? And with this show, Matt had a long distance relationship. It was my most recent relationship, so I can empathize with that too. And in terms of going forward with another season of this, or no, that's to be determined for me. What happens with the new Ready to Love? But I haven't got anything penciled out. 90 Day Fiance, no. Blind UK, boy, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see close to the time. We'll see how. But I'm into seeing. I want to see long, loving, caring marriages, relationships, things like that. I don't watch it for the toxicity and the dark arts and the combustible elements.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I mean, the toxic part is, if you want to put a word on it, cute. I mean, I don't know if cute's the right word, but if you really want to use the word cute at first, but after a while, it gets really annoying. So I too would want to see something more long term and beneficial. And it kind of sucks because with season, I believe it was season 4 of Love Is Blind, the US version, where we had Tiffany and Brett, and they were good to look at. They were nice to see, but we barely got anything with them on that season. So, which sucks because they're one of the success stories, and we hardly ever saw anything. So, unfortunately,
right. Well, I think the toxicity is relatable to many people as well, and that's what the programmers, producers, directors, and the concepts, because they want, it can trigger you one way or another, whether it's to get you see, or that you like it and you continue to watch it. So there's more format that we tune into. Let's say it's yet to be determined what I cover next. Now I'm gonna have some hope that we get some work. All right. So with that being said, is it done?
yes. We will. I will see. I'll definitely see everyone next week for my live with El Cid, and then hop over to JR's tomorrow. What time is it usually? Again, is it about? I think
So
it's
it's
usually
11:35, 11:30 UK time. Is about 6:30 Central moving.
okay. All right. Yeah.
CST is.
All right. Cool. Then, yeah, jump over there tomorrow, for that, and help support his channel and his lives and all that. So, but I will definitely be there. I'm always there, helping to support and give him some views and help his algorithms and all that. So please jump over there if you have no plans tomorrow. So, and then we'll see you guys later.
Have a nice evening / nice week. Peace.